Hey guys, this is your host Eric. Today we are going to watch action genre movie called Triple Frontier. Spoilers ahead, turn on your subtitle, I greatly appreciate your support. Enjoy the video. The film begins with the warring sound of a police helicopter emerging from the countryside of South America. Santiago, a cunning sharpshooter cop, has a mission to complete, track down and hunt some of the drug lord squad who are hiding in the desolate apartment. Also, to learn more about Gabriel Martin Laura, they're wealthy. With that, he cocks his gun and fires a blast that rips through Lori squad's hideout. Then Santiago and his armed police officers apprehend some Lori supporters, intimidating and threatening them in order to elicit information about Elle's whereabouts. Finally, one of the inmates broke his silence, claiming that their boss was hiding somewhere in the jungle because he doesn't trust banks. So it's a cracking code that Lori might be hiding his wealth in his home. The armed policeman is holding the rest of the captive prisoners until a woman breaks free from her chain and escapes from the police. Santiago and his team run as fast as they can to catch up to the woman, but she is too fast and manages to escape. Santiago's informant is the woman who escaped. They have an agreement in which he will release the informant's brother from prison in exchange for divulging Lau's location and money because she works for him by delivering vans full of cash to Elle's house in the jungle. Lori hides his money in the wilderness, she claims, to emphasize that the house is there. She also recommends a man to Santiago. She has feelings about it. His team is a traitor, and they are following his story. After learning this, he devises a strategy to assemble a trusted team for the heist and make Laura pay with the first person that comes to mind. He meets with retired Captain William Miller and plans to entice Redley, aka Tom, for their mission, so he tracks down his old pal. Following that is Red Fly, a former armed officer who is now a realtor with a complicated family relationship and financial problems. Red, who is flying alongside Santiago, drives his daughter Tess to school. Santiago discusses the plan of speaking with the agency and agreeing to keep 25% of any money seized. He estimates that Lori's safe house contains $75 million in cash, which is a lot of money to swim with. He had always had serious plans to rob Lori of her money. He even got a lawyer and trusted agents to back them up, but Redley is undecided about joining them because of it. After meeting Red Fly, he invites Benny and Catfish to join their heists, because he knows he can't do it without such cunning and trusted agents. Red Fly makes an unexpected appearance during Benny's fighting match. He then goes over their entry strategy. First and foremost, he had already prepared their passports. Second, they will enter the country as power line consultants. Finally, they'll act like maniacal ghosts, because there are no facial recognition cameras in the vicinity. When Red Fly hears the plan, he decides to join their money heist, and the team drives to the jungle up to Lori Mansion to inspect the hide in the bush and analyze their possibilities to enter and seize the moment. They learn that the Elle family attends church every Sunday and sends 3 guards to the 6 a.m. service when they return. He then sends the rest of his team, as well as his family, into town to attend mass, leaving him with only the 3 house guards. He is afraid to leave his money and his children, so he sends a large number of letters. Following that, their escape plan goes smoothly, and they see Santiago's informant in the van, whom the team finds attractive, teasing him a little and hoping for their romantic affinity. The informant then meets Lori in person to sign a shipment. Something happens later that night. While the money heist gang is resting and drinking beers, they begin to doubt the mission and realize Santiago framed them, but not as a betrayal or self-serving agenda. In a money heist with they realize what they're doing is illegal. Santiago only wants to steal Laura's money so that he can be rich and take what they deserve, rather than simply arresting and capturing prisoners without such honorable mention and appreciation as they fix and beat up the injustices. Meanwhile, Santiago and the informant met in secret. He offers his beautiful informant one last thing. He will get him an extra van into the compound on a Sunday morning. He needs that van inside the gate and offers the informant $2 million in exchange for her release. On a rainy Sunday morning, the Western money heist gang arrives and first hides in the bush. The informant then enters her van successfully inside the gate, where the team is eager to carry out the plan. Then he arrives on a rainy morning to inspect and unlock the gate. When the informant notices this, he leaves them to complete their mission. The money heist gang enters and roams the mansion. When they see some of Gloria's armed guards, they kill them as quickly as a cockroach. They shoot them down professionally, cocking and blasting their guns while raiding and capturing some of his people along the way. They were also attempting to locate and search for but he had yet to be found. Red Fly summons his colleagues to the office as soon as possible. Santiago, on the other hand, dismantles the flimsy paper-thin wall. Lori of millions of dollars, to their surprise, is behind it. With such exhilarating serotonin, the house is indeed the safe haven. They take their bags, seize any money they can get their hands on, and quickly conceal it in their van. They then scrape every flimsy wall to steal the money. But time is running out and they must pack their belongings before Laurie arrives. Family and security guards arrive. However, Redley is overpowered by his religion and wishes to load more money, while they were roaming and spreading gasoline to burn down the house. Santiago was aiming for vengeance on Laurie, a perpetrator of injustice. Another surprise awaited as a secret cabinet slowly opened. Laurie has gone into hiding with his money and gun. He attempts to aim his position and fire bullets into the room. Nonetheless, the money heist gang is so adaptable and attentive that one of them quickly shoots and kills Laurie. Unfortunately, El Bull strikes William Aka, Ironhead. However, he remains in the game due to his solidity and durability. They then kill the remaining guards and prepare to set fire to the house. The fire quickly spreads, and they leave the mansion, grinning. The money heist gang notices Laurie family in a car as they leave. They quickly let it go and drove to the compound where a warring helicopter was stationed. A tumultuous helicopter approaches in their haste, and they must store the £6,000 money they've stolen for a total of $250 million in cash. However, the helicopter can only carry so much weight, so the weight issue is a concern, but they can't simply leave 20 million people on the runway. So they live with their stolen treasure and try to make amends. They also drive the informant and her brother somewhere, and Santiago gives them their passports and $3 million to start a new life in Sydney, Australia. He warns the informant to stay safe and stay away from South America because they may kill. He advises his informant that when they arrive at the airport, they should stop at a specific shipping company and ensure that the boxes are delivered to the hotel in Sydney. The two conclude their communication with a bittersweet parting. Unfortunately, the informant had no idea what his name was or where she would ever see him again. Later, their helicopters are notorious for being loud and rattling. Get them up. They realize they've landed in a winter isle. It appears that escaping is more difficult than stealing Laura's money, and it is after the mission that their brotherhood is barricaded. Ben tries to pull the lever, but nothing happens. Benny then goes down for a while to poke the sack net of cash bags, which works surprisingly well, but it pays to be careful. The helicopter then shakes and crashes into the others. They land somewhere on an agricultural farm. Their money bags smack dab in the middle of it, as if they couldn't get any worse. Another issue arises when residents of the farm claim that they now own the money because it crashed on their land. The money heist game convinces them that Redley is a jerk. He's enraged and rains bullets on farmers and residents who come near their money. Because of what he had done, people were screaming and rushing to get closer to the gang. Residents can only lament the bodies of those who died as a result of Redley's rash action. The gang then begs forgiveness from their community captain by giving him some of their money and instructing him to send money to the bereaved families. While walking with the mules they purchased from the community captain, they notice a young boy grinning vengefully at them. That young boy's father was killed in the Redley bullet shower, and he is mourning his father's death. The gang continues their escape and happens to pass through a forest, where they spend the night. When morning arrives, they are confined to a rocky mountain. One of their mules collapses with their money. Because of the steep, rocky mountain and the dangers ahead, they free their mules and can only bring themselves hundreds of dollars. The shivering cold causes them to burn some of their money to start a fire as dawn falls on them. The guns ricocheted through the rocks with no targets, posing a threat to the gang. They spread out quickly to find the hiding shooters and discover that one of them is a teenage boy holding and cocking his gun. Red Fly locks his weapon on the teen, holds his ground, and fires a single shot at him. It happens smoothly and feels like a victorious shot, putting an end to any potential dangers. But then he sees the kid who had once looked at them with such vengeance locking his sights on Redley, a man who had killed a dozen of his people. As he looks back, the young boy points his gun at the target and shoots straight at it, but he is also shot down, resulting in a loud bang from Santiago's gun. Seeing that the Red Fly, Aka Tom, has been dispatched, his friends weep and weep for him. They never expected that their friend would be killed as a result of what happened to them. The gang leader, Santiago, encourages them to carry on with their plan because Redley deserves the money. His family is deserving of the money, as are they. As they walk to a snowy mountain, they bring Red Fly's dead body and their money. Fortunately, they have a backup boat. They're 5 days late, and they're wondering if the boat is still waiting for them. Benny leaves them for a while and goes through the boat inspecting some routes, a critical step in their successful escape plan. He returns to his friends and informs them that the boat is still waiting for them, which is a fortunate approach. Benny didn't go to town because there were a bunch of armed kindergartens, and one of their enemies used 20 heavily armed children to kill Santiago and the others. However, William intervenes, stating that he did not go on this mission to kill children for the sake of their money cargo. He pursues a heart-to-heart conversation with Santiago about their own choices and the consequences of those choices. As a result, they have 100 money bags and must let them go because they cannot leave Redley's dead body in the middle of nowhere. As a result, they choose brotherhood and a bond within a strong friendship over money. They return their money and throw the rest of it off a cliff as they approach a town populated by heavily armed teenagers. Benny searches for their boat while the others pass through town quietly. The heavily armed adolescent boy walks by, but they have no intention of killing him. Santiago and his friends steal the kid's car and use it to get to the beach quickly, where Benny is driving. However, as soon as they leave the child, a group of teenagers in their car intervenes. The gang has no choice but to shoot and drive as fast as they can. A gang of armed teenagers pursues them, but the gang outwits them and eventually arrives at the beach. Santiago and his friends successfully find Benny at the beach. They exhaustingly sail away, preparing to begin a new life and live with the consequences of their decisions. As a result, they may have left a large number of money bags, but they brought each one. They only brought $5,334,210, and when they caught 5 shares, they each received $1,066,824. The film concludes with a lawyer requiring their signatures on a contract for the Redley Family Trust. All of them sign, despite the fact that everything they've done for this mission may have resulted in nothing but a peaceful ending with Redley. We really appreciate you watching. If you enjoy this video, please give it a like. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel with the notification bell because it is really important for us. Thank you.